Hi, so as mentioned, I'm Kristoffer Lawson, from Finland, but grew up in Northern Ireland, so I'll have a bit of an interesting accent. I've been a technologist since I was a little kid. I started coding when I was 7, and always been very interested in being an entrepreneur and setting up businesses. Probably my most famous company is Holvi, which was a banking fintech company. We founded with Tuomas Toivonen, and that was then sold to BBVA a couple of years ago. And after Holvi, I was working on a thing called Solu, which was a completely new type of computer. And right now, I'm head of product with a thing called Attractive, which is basically a service for analyzing your user experience and your usability with one click online. So no consultants and so forth. So that's coming up in the future. But I want to focus on one little moment in the Solu story. I don't know if there are any lessons here or not, but it was a very emotional journey, a very emotional time for us. So, as mentioned, Solu was a completely new type of computer. This has been a lifelong dream of mine. It was based on a vision that went back like 20 years. And it was a combination of several things. We created a new piece of hardware which could work both as a mobile device and as a desktop computer. So here you can see it as a desktop computer. We had a completely new type of user experience, a new type of user interface. We didn't have windows, menus, icons, folders, even files. It was a completely new approach, focused on collaboration, teamwork, and projects. And finally, it was linked up to the cloud. So it was all tied up to our cloud service, but it could also work offline. So there's some really magical, special technology behind there. And we've been working on this then for a couple of years already, and without telling anybody what we were actually doing. So of course, a lot of people were very curious about what I was going to do after Holvi. But we didn't tell anybody. It was like small groups of people. It was just such a ridiculously ambitious project. We just felt that we don't want to tell anybody until it's actually maybe, perhaps, going to happen. What we did do is we were preparing for the launch. The launch was in 2016, in the autumn. If I remember correctly, it was October 25th or something like that. And we were planning to put it on Kickstarter. So we wanted the media to cover it, and we had done months of preparation. The hardware work was extremely difficult. So as we were approaching the launch, we decided that we wanted to have a special preview video, a teaser video, to give people a feeling of what we're all about. Now, we could have gone the traditional way and had like a bit of a jingle and showed the product and so forth, but that's not something that we wanted to do. We wanted to have a really, really special video. We got together with an artist called Paleface from Finland. He's a very well-respected rapper, so he's not one of those sort of commercial rappers. He's sort of left-wing. He had never worked with a company before. He heard what we were doing and what we wanted to portray, and he was like, yeah, I want to do this. Certain members of the shareholders, the investors, did not like this idea. I mean, this guy had certain sort of almost anti-capitalist tendencies, but we felt that he was speaking the kind of message that would resonate with what we were doing and with what people were doing. So I wanted to show that video, and remember, nobody knew what we were doing. So let's see if we can get it to work. Can we get sound?
They say, that can't be done, man. Get real. But all you need is one man. And I'm here. Throughout history, those who make a change have been underrated, deprecated, downplayed, they've been understated, belittled, degraded, underestimated, but they kept pushing forward till they finally made it. There's only a few who dare to lead the way. Be that guy, be the change. Reconsider, rearrange, reassemble, see the change. Re-envision, read the page, readjust, you'll be amazed. Yes, it can be done, it will be done. Change can happen, all is one. Persevere, that day will come. Call it naive, call it dumb, call it...
I guess we lost the sound again.
Call it too idealistic. Call it unrealistic. Call it too complicated. Call it too damn simplistic. Call it too artistic, too futuristic. Call it unrealistically optimistic. Call me a misfit. I don't care. I won't stop till I'm finally there.
So that's what we put together. We didn't show the product. The video ended with just a URL, solu.computer. That was the only hint at what we were doing. And of course, it was like a hugely emotional moment for the whole team, and we'd be working so hard. And we knew, I mean, so many people, if you think about setting up a computer company, how many people have failed at doing that? It's like dozens, if not hundreds. And we knew there was a fair chance that that would happen. But still, we wanted to give it a go. And you can see, some of the team members that we had a tiny team. It was less than 10 people working on both hardware, software, operating system, everything. And I mean, it was just like crazy. But these people were putting the effort in, day out, filming videos. Sten there, Gerda, Mike Bradshaw, some of you might recognize. I'm not sure what he's doing there. One of our wizards, Eugene, nothing was impossible for Eugene. I mean, you just give him a task, and then 2 days later, it's done. So a few weeks before the launch event, we still hadn't built a fully functional prototype. Mainly the screen wasn't running. So we left ourselves a bit of a window. If we don't achieve it by a certain date, we'll have to cancel the whole launch. Here you can see, this is where the prototype is finally running with the screen on. And you can see that it's actually a BlackBerry screen. So we actually used the same screen that BlackBerry was using. So BlackBerry was kind of our development platform, so to speak. And actually the prototype was built out of that as well. We didn't tell anybody, but yeah. So there we had a bit of a celebration. Like we actually got the screen up and running. So it's time to head off to San Francisco. We decided, as a Finnish company, logically we're going to launch in San Francisco, because launching it in Finland would have been the easy way. So we went to go to San Francisco. We started looking at the kind of venues. This was a very special moment. I mean, this is, as I said, it's a lifelong ambition. So we didn't want just any old venue. We went to Parisomo. We did a bit of a practice launch at their location. We had these lovely T-shirts where it says, "I liked Solu before it was cool." Extremely popular. And it was a very emotional journey, but not just like the ups, there was also the downs. I mean, it's a good reminder when you're in San Francisco that all of this like hype and buzz and technology and wealth and exits. The flip side is we met guys like this. I'm sorry, I can't remember now the name, but we went to this club where there was sort of industrial and hardcore electronic music. And this guy was there with his bags. It was all his belongings. And what he would do is basically save up any money that he could to go to the club. That was basically his only joy in life, was to go to this club. He had HIV, so he only had a short while to live, and I haven't seen him since then. But what was remarkable is that he heard that we were from Finland, so he showed us a tattoo of him, which of course is a metal band from Finland. We looked, this was one mansion, this was a potential place to launch, but felt a bit too small, too cozy for what we were trying to achieve. This one had a nice sea view, so maybe, but no, it felt a bit too official. This was an old military kind of lodge where they had meetings. It was starting to get close to what we wanted. This was a wood cabin, so it would have fit in well with the Finnish theme, and there was a nice park outside. So we were really close to taking this one. Until we saw this, which was a hidden away place at the top of an old building in downtown San Francisco. It was an old Freemasonry lodge which had gone almost unknown for decades until somebody had found it. And it included an organ as well. So we actually had somebody playing an organ at the end of our launch. And it just spoke to us, the high roofs, and it was so bonkers. It sort of fitted with what we wanted to do. It was twice the price of everything else, and it was a bit over our budget, but you know, you only launch a computer company once, maybe twice in your life. So we had the date set, we had the venue, we had everything done. Now, we went a couple of weeks before to the actual venue. We were starting to prepare. One of the things that we wanted to do was launch Kickstarter at the same time as the whole launch event. Now, we were still missing all the videos and the materials and so forth, and it was getting super stressful for the whole team. It got to the point where, without naming names, there was one person on the team who got so freaked out about that, you know, we're just not going to make it in time. We're just like, the video's not going to make it. He got in touch with the board. So I don't know if you saw the board discussion that we had earlier today, but he got in touch with the board directly, sort of bypassing me, probably because he knew what my answer would be. And so suddenly, a week before the launch, the board was on me as well, saying, they basically give us a directive to say, postpone the launch, at least don't do Kickstarter. And being the board, of course, we listened to them. Hell no. We did our thing anyway. We did know that if we couldn't get the materials ready the day before, we could still cancel. But you know, we had the BBC there, the Guardian, we had TechCrunch, we had all these guys coming up. So to postpone would have been a bit of a disaster. So we worked, and we got the video done. And some of the board members might still be a bit pissed off, but you know, we did it. And I'm still proud of that. I'm still happy about that. So here you can see how they're cleaning the screen for the video. And of course, we practiced the presentation everywhere we could go. So we're standing in this beautiful place, the Palace of Arts, just practicing it, the whole presentation in front of people. Now, what happened then? So we're now the time is upon us. There were 100 so people waiting outside the door. We'd gone to the barber, we got our suits, we got everything prepared. We had tested the device. It was still a prototype device. And half an hour before we were going to open the doors, the device touch stopped working. So we're like, okay, what are we going to do? We rebooted it, you know, turn it off and on again. That helped for about a minute and a half, and then the touch stopped working again. We had a backup plan of using a tablet, but it would have been like a really horrible mess. The user experience would have been terrible. So we were just like hacking, and what the hell are we going to do? Finally, Emily, who was in the previous picture there, he realized that there was something in the electrics in the building that was interfering with the touch on the device. So we're like, okay, it will work as long as we don't connect the power cable up. Now, this was a prototype device. We had only just got it working at all. And we had never tested the battery. We had not done any power management optimization whatsoever. So we had no idea if it was even going to work at all with the battery power. But we had no choice. I mean, it was like we were already over time. So remove power cable, open the doors, people start coming in. And we were like, because obviously they wanted to network and chat, and I'm like, please have a seat. And then we got up on stage, and every single slide, we were half expecting it to just crash. And there would be no warning, because we hadn't done anything with that. So every single slide, and we got through it. And amazingly enough, there was still 50% of the battery left. We didn't know, I mean, we couldn't see it from anywhere, but once you logged in, we could see that there was still 50% of the battery left. So we did the whole 1-hour presentation just on battery power on a completely untested setup. So I just wanted to show a few pictures. Here's me blathering on about something. Joanna talking about the importance. He was our head of design, so he's talking about how important the human aspect of what we were doing in our computer. There's Javier, my fellow founder, who's sharing the story about how we met, which was basically me pitching Holvi in an icy hole in Finland. And of course, finally, to wrap up, Emily deserved some beer. So everything went well. BBC covered us. Wasn't a great article. The Guardian had a pretty nice article. TechCrunch, all of the Finnish media covered us. And we reached our target on Kickstarter. Now, I just wanted to focus on that story. This company no longer exists. So, of course, a lot of things happened since that launch. But I think that's a story for another time. So I'd like to end it there. Thank you.
We'd like to take maybe at least one question. Do we have a question from the audience? Anybody?
One
No?
question. What did I have for breakfast? All right.
How did you choose to move on to Attractive?
Yeah, so after the Solu kind of having to close shop, I haven't lost any of my ambition. I want to do like great things. We only really have this one life, so I really want to continue doing these unique things. And I got approached by many companies, some big, some small. I think somebody earlier was saying that once you become an entrepreneur, you're like basically always an entrepreneur.
A lifer.
Yeah, so I mean, the big companies got in touch and offered positions like running products within them. And I'm like, yeah, it could be steady salary, good salary with nice benefits, none of the stress. So I didn't take that option, of course.
Of course not. Who would?
So I joined a company with an uncertain future, but with some revenue, with a very bold new vision for what they want to do with the technology that they've been developing. And I liked the guys. They were complete geeks. Mm-hmm. I loved that. And the way that we work wasn't the corporate thing, 9 to 5. We were like sitting on sofas and then just chatting, and it just felt right.
Awesome. Another great founder story. Thank you. Okay. Little memento. Thanks. Continuing with great founder stories. Bloomberg was writing stories about this guy at age 17 already. And I'd like to invite him up and share with us all of the startups he's started and what you're doing now at Zego.
Thank you. Oh, hello. Hello, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be in front of so many talented people, particularly in the city where I grew up. Also, the people behind the screen. I'm Sten, co-founder and CEO of a company called Zego. But I'm not here to talk about Zego today. You've all probably heard a lot about, in order to make a company success, you need to hire great people, or you need to have an A-team. Now, I've been hearing this a lot, and it makes sense. And I kind of believed in this so much that I was telling this story to others. But what I didn't really actually realize is, what does it actually mean? Until recently when it clicked. And because there's a huge difference between good people and great people. I'm going to tell you a story, the learnings I've gone through, the companies I've founded and jobs I've done, how I kind of got to this point. And hopefully that will help you as you build your teams. Now, it's a founder story. I've got no slides for you. I've got only one, which is a photo, which I'll reveal at the end of this talk. So I started my career at the age of 17 back in Estonia. I founded a company called Valemevihik. Some of you might have heard, you might have used. It's essentially a paper notepad inside of the covers. I put study aids, math, physics, chemistry, and so on. I started as part of a school program. It was a real success. By the age of 21, I was in 4 different countries, and I had a team of 22. Hugely lucrative, made lots of money, and spent it all as well at the same time. But from kind of a professional point of view, from people point of view, I didn't know really what I was doing. I just hired. I knew nothing about hiring, neither interviewing. So I just hired people who kind of seemed cool, seemed nice, through just friends. Personally, I was a very shallow individual where I kind of cared about all those superficial things. And I think there's a bit of hard work, there's a bit of luck, but really, I didn't know what I was doing. Then at the same time, I expanded to Lithuania. I found a project there, I bought it, but I wanted to make it big. So I didn't have enough money. I had some, but I didn't have as much as I wanted. So I took a mortgage and I invested into that project. It was essentially a project which is like Twitter, but on Post-its. And invested all the mortgage money. 6 months later, I had no money, no project. But I did have the mortgage. And again, there, because from the previous success, I had developed this kind of arrogance that like whatever I touch turns into gold. And that was a very dangerous place to be. I then, from people point of view there, again, I didn't know really. The team members I picked, I was like, they seemed convincing. They seemed like, why not? But clueless. Then with the first company, I had built this I had this need to be in a big international environment. So I was like, okay, which location is the closest, speaks English? London. I moved to London in 2009. Initially there, I then joined a company called QuickSub Global, which there was essentially an outsourcing business. So you can hire people in different parts of the world to work for your company, but it's all managed by that company. So they had offices in South Africa, India, China, Bulgaria, Romania, US. What I learned there was how to work with different cultures, because actually people are very different in different cultures. I was doing a normal kind of business development job, but what I learned was like, how do Indians work? How do South Africans work? And how do you bring those together? Myself personally, I was in a completely new environment, how British people work. Like it's very different how Estonians or kind of Eastern Europeans, Scandinavians work. It's very different. So I learned there how to work with different cultures. I wanted to grow the business there more than the founder did, so I was like, that's the wrong place to be if I want to grow more than the founder. I left. I then came across a company called One Fine Stay, which is essentially a luxury Airbnb with a 5-star hotel service. There, it was a VC-funded business growing rapidly. I was in charge of 6 teams with 50 full-time staff and 200 agency staff. And it was a kind of a nice journey there. I learned there, from a people point of view, how to interview. I interviewed probably 200 people face-to-face. I interviewed personally 400 agency people, housekeeping, drivers, warehouse. And I think I learned there how to interview. At some point there, our teams had to hire 240 people in 2 weeks, and just for 3-week period. So how do you do things at scale? Like you would never do it in other than in some of those companies. And then, and there I work with good people, right? There were some great, but I didn't know them, and I work with good people. So I learned how to interview and how to work with good people. From there, personally, I had kind of a come down to earth as well. And at that company, I was building up more the confidence, but realistic one. Then I was there for 3.5 years. I got to the point there where I was like, okay, what's next? Because I want to do more. I want to grow more. I want to develop more. I then left and joined another company called Deliveroo. It's biggest and fastest growing European food delivery company, like Wolt here essentially, but by far the biggest in Europe. I then there I helped them to grow their teams from operations point of view. So how do you manage a growth of 25% week on week, doubling the business in 2 months? And that was quite fun. How do you go from a team of 5 to 60 of customer service in like 5 weeks by doing it so that it doesn't fall apart and it kind of it scales and it develops. Now, there again, I spotted some great people who I didn't directly work with, but I did spot them. I started to kind of see something. In my personal life, I hit the low. I hit pretty low. My family relationships were a complete mess, tense, painful, and my relationship with my girlfriend was about to break. I was like, that's not sustainable. So I didn't know what to do. I was recommended therapy. I went to therapy. So I then every week went to kind of really try and explore myself as an individual. As I was quite a shallow individual, I kind of started to unbundle my own life. Who am I? What do I want? What do I like? What I don't like? And it took a kind of a lot of work to really figure this one out. It's quite painful. But what happened was that I then started to learn more about other people. I came kind of went in and came out, was like, actually, I started to notice things about people I didn't notice before. And that was kind of quite an exciting moment for me because I started to notice how people are, how they behave, and started to read more people. At the same time, I managed to unbundle my family relationships. They improved. Same with my girlfriend, still together happily. And then kind of I worked through all of this, but what was the output from this was I actually started to understand people more, which was quite fascinating for me. And then at the time when we were at Deliveroo, my current co-founder, Zego's co-founder, came to me and was like, Sten, I've got this idea. Let's explore that. And we started exploring it. And that idea is essentially an insurance company. It's a flexible insurance for the gig economy. So the problem there was that they had to hire drivers, Deliveroo, but before you hire them, they have to have an insurance. And before you can get the insurance, before you get hired, you need to prove that you have an insurance. So very simply, I know insurance is, I didn't know anything about insurance before, so it can be quite complex. But very simply, let's say you're a taxi driver, want to work for, particularly in kind of Western Europe, want to work as a Uber driver or Taxify driver, you need to have a commercial insurance. So what we essentially do is you have your standard car insurance for everyday use. And commercial insurance, we sell it by the minute. So the moment you're the taxi driver, you are only covered for that period as a taxi driver. So you don't have to have an annual long-term policy, which you pay a lot of money. And that business, we kind of started out as a team of 3. We are, again, raised VC money and growing pretty rapidly. And the way it works is that, let's say, you sign into an Uber app and say, I'm ready for work. We get the server level ping, which says, start the insurance. Automatically, they get the certificate on the phone that they are insured. And the moment they say, I'm going home, they get another ping. So we work directly with Uber, Deliveroo, Uber Eats, several kind of gig economy companies. And the vision we have for this company is that imagine one day, you wake up in the morning, you go and work for Amazon, let's say, move parcels for a couple of hours. In the lunchtime, you go and work for Deliveroo or Volt. And then in the afternoon, you're a plumber, you go and fix someone's plumbing. And then in the evening, you go and work with your car again for Uber or Taxify. So the ultimate flexibility, one of the reasons why the sharing economy isn't evolving that fast is the hurdles and the traditional products, insurance products. So that's the vision, and we want to build a global insurance company. That's probably for another story, but that's what we did. Now, when we started this business, there was 3 of us, and really hard-working people, work hard, do a lot of work. We did lots of tasks. Now, the work got too much, and we're like, okay, so what are we going to do next? Let's hire people. We hired more people to do tasks. A couple of months later, the problem was there's still too many tasks, but we need somebody who's willing to take on more responsibility. And we just didn't have those people, and it was like, okay, let's see what happens. Then I just worked myself to the ground, just working hard, and I was like, I was hoping that would solve it, but it didn't. Physically, it was just physically painful. And then it was like, okay, we need to hire some like smart, good people who could be in the business, and then great people, and then hired. I didn't quite know what I was looking for, trusted my gut feel, hired a couple of people, and then they got in the business. They started, they didn't really need much introduction. They just kind of got on with it, took responsibility. They thought as a founder, and they just went with it. And 2 weeks after starting, it clicked to me. I was like, these are the great people. These are the people who you need in your business to build a great business. Not good people, great people. And then at the same time, and I'll come back to this, what I mean by this, but at the same time, I've been going through this journey for the last almost 2 years. I, at the same time, still have been going to therapies, good 2.5 years now. And it's really good, because in this room, stats say there's 1 in 3 or 1 in 4 have mental health challenges. So I particularly think in this room, there's probably double that. So I wholeheartedly encourage you to look after your mental health, because that will help you build the better business. Because it's not just about physically, it's also mentally. So it helps you keep sane, helps you kind of go through all those hurdles. There's been twice at the early days of the business where I was going home and I was like, I'm not sure whether I'm going to have a business tomorrow. And you need those moments, is the support you need. So I wholeheartedly encourage and recommend whichever way, but I think this is something that is not really much spoken about and openly, but it should be. So how do great people look like? Great people, in my eyes, are the ones who think as founders, who not necessarily think about their area, they think about the whole business. They are comfortable telling you up front that this is wrong, you should do this way. They're open to give you personally feedback as a manager or a founder. They are someone, if you think like, okay, imagine if they were to leave, what would happen? And if you are like, oh my God, it's going to fall over, then they are probably the great people. If they're like, oh, I'll probably hire someone else, then they're probably not. And the great people are the people who you have to put your arms around and be like, I'm never, ever going to let them go. You need to do everything possible to keep them, because they are the ones who build the teams or projects or companies with you. Now, there's another point there, is that great people hire great people, and great people want to work with great people. If you hire a good person, they hire a slightly less good person, and that hires another less good person. And then you're going to look kind of 6 months, 12 months later down the line, you've got an average team, and you're like, why aren't things going? It's because good people don't hire great people. Now, the other challenge with all of this is you don't know fully until someone is great until they've started. So, but you'll find out that quickly, but that's the risk you have to take. You have to spend enough time and energy at the beginning to kind of do the vetting as you get to kind of close to, and you feel like your gut says, right, I think they could be. And once they start, you'll see. And it's hard, but it's absolutely worth it. So when you build the teams, think about it, because it's very, very key that you have those great people in the business, because otherwise you're just going to work yourself to the ground, going to go sane and everything else. And really, it took me a while to understand this, because people say it's obvious, how could people build an A-team? But it didn't really register until I actually saw one. So if you don't realize yet, don't worry, work on this, you'll get there. But lastly, which I want to show you, is that at Zego, I want to build, and we're building a team with these values. Focus less on things like table football and free cereal. Focus more on mental health. We have a mental health program in the business, so everyone can go and the company funds. And what I would like the company to be is that, well, if we fast forward 10 years, 99% of you all have a different role or a job. So your current job or a company is part of your journey. You will be doing something different in 10 years' time, most likely. So what I want to build the company to be for all of the people in the team is that imagine them sitting in a rocking chair being 70, and they tell the story to their grandchildren about their life. And I would like them to say them that, my dear, when I worked at Zego, I learned a lot. That was my career-defining moment. This was the role that made me who I am today. So when you build the teams, think about it, because you want them, at least I want them, to have this journey described this way. Thank you.
Wonderful. That was great. Do we have a quick question from the audience? We're running. Okay, we get one. And you're the only one.
It's just there.
Hi. I have this question that what do you as a company do to keep those great people?
Everything, anything.
Example?
With great people, you have to treat them slightly differently. I know it sounds bad, and I shouldn't say, but it's the case. You have to make sure that they are well rewarded. You need to make sure that you think ahead of their progression. You should be the one going to them and saying, look, I want to review your salary before they come to you, for example. You should be the first one going, hey, I've got new, exciting project for you to work on before they come to you. You need to constantly think about how can you keep them, because they are the kind of firing power who will go through any kind of a challenge. And you just need to think about it constantly ahead and have open and honest conversation with them all the time. Because they're all very reasonable people as well. They think as a founder, so you should be able to have those conversations. But whatever it takes, you need them.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And we've saved a special treat for you. Not just the founder, but also sportsman, an extreme athlete. Here is Taig Khris from OnOff.
Thank you. I mean that. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. So first of all, I'm very happy to be with you guys today and to be able to present a little bit my company, but also I will present at the beginning a little bit what I did in the past. It's true, I was a sportsman. I will actually show you guys, but before that, I need to show you through words from Jeff Bezos and Elon Kay. So what I try to do in my company is actually to predict the future. In telecom, I tried 5 years ago to imagine what could be the future of telecom. And I managed, thanks God, to imagine almost 10 years ahead. And I will show you what we've been building already for 5 and how it's going to change the communication on every device in the world, hopefully. So briefly. So my name is Taig Khris. I used to be, as I say, a skater champion. I will show you a video. I try to wake up every day with those words like they didn't know it was impossible, so they made it, 7 times on the floor, 8 times standing. Actually, I broke myself 7 times. I had broken bone all over. And I created the company in the hospital bed. But before to talk about the company, let's see a little video of my past life. Bonjour Paris!
I've been sleeping for 40 days and yeah, I know I'm sleeping 'cause this dream's too amazing. She got no doorknob where her eyes used to be, and one turn and I learned what it really means to see. It's the magical mystery kind. Must be alive.
So that was the past craziness that I had. And actually 5 years ago, so I broke my leg. I was in the hospital like always. I'm always going to the hospital. And every time at the hospital, I'm thinking, now I have to reinvent myself. And because I was getting close to 40, okay, I already passed it now. So I thought I have now to start a company. And as I said, I thought I would start a company in telecom. So a basic vision that I had, it was telecom operators. The future of telecom will be fully in the cloud. But what I mean by fully in the cloud is when you think about it, like all the biggest company in the world, like Uber are the biggest taxi driver company in the world, but they don't own the car. The biggest hotel in the world is Airbnb, but they don't own the walls. So I thought, may I create the biggest telecom operator in the world without owning the network and invent a technology to be able to use the network for free, and even more, that operators have to pay me every minute and every SMS for me to use it for free. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm a dreamer, and that was my vision. And actually, when I realized that everything is in the cloud, when you think about it, your music are in the cloud, your film with Netflix are in the cloud, your photos are in the cloud, your mail are in the cloud, but one thing didn't change for telecom for the past 30 years is your mobile number and your SIM card. When you think about it, your mobile number are blocked in that plastic SIM cards for the past 30 years, and that's ridiculous. So I thought, why not to put mobile numbers in the cloud, like an email address, like that when I have no battery, I can get my mobile number from any device in one click. So I imagine a system that I've called cloud numbers. So basically, when you get a number, you don't get a number from a SIM card, you get the number in the cloud, so you can get a number from any different country, you can get multiple number. When you have no battery, you can have your number anywhere, etc. So that was the vision. The difficulty in my hospital bed is that I knew nothing about telecom, I didn't have engineer, I was not an engineer myself, and I had no money. So what I did, I took 6 months to find the name of the guy that knew if that was possible. Just to find the job name, because I didn't know. So after 6 months, I understood it was a chief telecom architect. I found the guy, I say, can you tell me my vision is possible? The guy said yes, but it's €1,500 per day. I said, wow, can we do it in 2 days? So he said, okay, 2 days, that will be fine. So he made some diagram, and he told me, your vision is possible. It was never made in telecom, but the only way to do it is to create a worldwide telecom operators. So you don't have many choice, or you go to the big telecom operators like Vodafone, and then good luck, nothing will happen. Or you build millions of euros and build a worldwide telecom operators, and good luck as well, you're just a skater. Or you, yeah, I mean, it's true. Or you try to go to small telecom operators and you start as renting the network technology, and you start like that. So I tried to find a company like that, and I found a small telecom operators to start, and I told them, can I rent your network in a way? They say yes, it will cost you 150,000 euro, and you will have to pay us about 20,000 euro every month. But that's possible. So basically, I had a guy that told me that that was technically and legally possible, and the company told me that they could rent it in a way. So because I'm always a very optimist, I thought, that's amazing, so I stopped all my crazy stuff, and I started to focus on that and try to search for money. The problem is hard to find money when you're a skater and want to build a worldwide telecom operators. So I went to big fund, and they basically laughed at me and say, no way, we'll never give you any coin. So what I did, I went one by one to people I knew, started with my surgeon, true story, then my lawyers, then my accountant, and I went one by one for hours and days to 500 people. And one of them, each time I convinced them one by one, and I managed at the end to convince 130 people, and those 130 people, they gave me 10 million euros. And with 10 million euros, then you can build something, right? It took me a lot of time, as you can imagine. So let me present you a little bit what we do. So the company is OnOff. It's a mobile application. It's 100% in the cloud, and I will explain you. Basically, okay, to overview about the company, so I found the company. Now I have some associate. I have 40 engineers. We are based in Tallinn, actually. I moved to Tallinn 4 years ago, so we are right here in Metro Plaza, 5-minute walk. You know, I've raised until now 15 million euros. Actually, I didn't put the right numbers there, but anyway. And we have invented a lot of patents. I became a telecom engineer myself, and I invent the patent myself. So there is one of them. Even if Apple want to build or Google want to build what we built, they cannot do it. We're the only one to do it with our technology patent that can do that. Otherwise, you're out of regulation in terms of telecom. We have a telecom license in 17 countries. So hopefully, end of the year or beginning of next year, we are going to be the first telecom operator in the world in terms of number of license. And basically, we have mobile numbers in 33 countries, and soon we are going to cross the billion of SMS exchange. So when you see the fact that we build the telecom operators in the cloud, it brings something very different from basic operators, because basic operators, they cannot provide what we have, and mobile application like WhatsApp, etc., they cannot as well. So we have 3 business cases. The first thing, you buy numbers from us. The second thing, you call international cheaper. And the third thing, we take numbers from existing operators, from existing SIM card, and bring it into our app. So you just download our application. It's available on Apple Store and Google Play. In one click, you get a second mobile number from the country, from France, for example. You want a number for your business, a number for a second WhatsApp, to sell your car on eBay, a business for a second, number for a second life, whatever. You want a second phone number, one click, you get a second phone number. But you also can get a second phone number from any country. I want a number from America because I have businesses in America. One click, I get the number, and I can have all my numbers, as you can see, at the same time. But as well, if I want to call international, we are the cheapest service in the world to call international as an average. We are about 50 times cheaper than Orange, like 60 times cheaper than Vodafone. Why is that? Because remember, I invent some technology that obliges the network to give me the network for free and to pay me to use it for free, legally. So of course I'm cheaper than them, because how can they be cheaper than me if they have to pay me for me to use it for free? So So when you see, for example, rate, you can see per minute to call some of those countries. You can see that we are, as an average, the cheapest. Same for the SMS, etc. The third thing that is a real revolution, we are the only one that have created that in the history of telecom. It's called virtual portability. Normally, when you are in, for example, if you are at Elisa, you are allowed to change your number and transfer it to another network. But in the history of telecom, it was always from a physical SIM card to another physical SIM card. Since we don't have a SIM card with just a mobile application, we had to invent what I call a virtual portability. So from a SIM card to the cloud, or from the cloud to a SIM card. So let me give you an example. Let's take the example of Sally. She lives in Germany. She has 2 SIM cards for 10 years, one for her business, one for her private life. She's paying 30 euro and 30 euro. Right now, what she can do with OnOff, she cancels a SIM card, take the number, bring it into the cloud, so into the application. She saves $30 per month. She doesn't have to carry 2 phones in her pocket anymore, and she still keeps her number for only 3 euro per month for call and SMS on that second phone number. So basically, it saves her money, save a lot of money for her every month, and she don't have to SIM 2 phones in her pocket. And plus, she have all the flexibility of OnOff that I will explain. So again, an example of Sally. Now she's in Germany. She wants to study 1 year in Egypt. She cancels her SIM card from Vodafone, bring the number into the cloud, move all the way to Egypt, and then her number become local on the network in any Egyptian network. So people in Germany, they don't even know she's in Egypt. They continue calling a German number as a local rate, and she pick up as a local rate in Egypt. And again, one very important thing, this is not VoIP application like Skype or whatever. This is using the network, so it's the best quality, and some of our patents allowed us to receive and call with 0 connection internet. So, and when she comes back, for example, to Germany, she can as well bring back her number on any network. So basically, we invent what I call international portability between countries. So let's see briefly the application. So as you can see, the application is called OnOff. You can see it right there. So you just download it from the Apple Store and Google Play, and then you choose your number, the number you want. Those are French numbers, but basically you can buy the number, and it's 3 euro per month is call and SMS unlimited. But you can even search a number more easy to remember if you want like a very elite number. They're a little bit more expensive, but it's cool to have, you know, like those ones, for example. But I can get a number from any country. I want, for example, Australian number, Belgium number, you know, a Brazilian number, Canadian number. I can even choose my states if I want a number, you know, from a specific state in Canada or in America. So remember, it means that people in America will call you back as a local rate. They don't even know that you are in Estonia if you take an American number there. Here, I have all my numbers. So if I want to call anyone, I go on my dialer and I dial the number I want to call and decide from which number I want to display. So for example, here you click and then you decide I want to call the person with my American number, my French number, my UK number, etc. And it's like a virtual iPhone. I have my call, I have my SMS, and we have some cool functionality. When I write SMS, I can send it in the future if I want. I hold and I send the SMS in the future. That's very practical. I have the voicemail greeting. I can personalize with my own voice on any number, but I can even choose the default one and change the languages. Now we have 4 languages, but it will be all languages. So we are not only providing numbers, we are building a real iPhone in the cloud. And this is the first step of a lot of development. We invest already 12 million euros in R&D for the past 4 years, and we are building the B2B solution with so much flexibility. You see, you want, for example, to turn the French number off, you can on 1 click. But if I want, I can turn just the call and leave the SMS on, or just turn off the SMS. We have full flexibility. So all that, you know, as I said, you can download it on the store. And what is cool as well is that you can use it on any device, meaning that your number can be accessible on a computer, on an iPad, on a normal iPhone. So your number, you lose your phone, doesn't matter, your number appears everywhere. So let me make a very quick presentation about my investor, because actually I could not do all that without them. So the 130 people, they are not all of them, but few of them are here, as you can see. So I took, you don't know those people because they are mainly French, but a lot are famous, some big startups, sportsmen, big guys, one by one. Those are the kind of people. Some people put 5,000 euro, some people put 400,000 euro, but little by little, with these 130 people, I managed to raise the money. And of course, now we have big investment funds that enter, mostly French, but those are basically the company. So thank you. So that was like the vision about OnOff. As you can see, it probably, hopefully, I mean, that's my vision, going to revolutionize our use case in the world, because our goal is probably to be bought by maybe Apple, who knows? Because imagine if one day Apple buy us, Apple could say, if you buy an iPhone, no matter which SIM card you can have Elisa, Vodafone, no matter what, if it's an iPhone, every international call will be 50 times cheaper. How strong is that? And you can buy a number from any network on an iPhone in one click. So there are, for sure, that's going to be the future. The road is still long, and it's still a big challenge. And of course, if you have some question, I will love to answer them. Thank you.
We have the portable mic, so if somebody has a question, just raise your hand. We're happy to get that microphone to you.
Yep.
There it is.
So what about mobile data and 4G? Can I also use it from your, because right now it's also like connected to my SIM card in Estonia. I get this all in a package. So you have like phone number, SMS, and the mobile data?
I mean,
the 4G solution.
We don't sell the local connectivity. So if you don't have a local SIM card, then it's like, you know, in a way, it's like WhatsApp. WhatsApp, if you don't have a connectivity Wi-Fi on a SIM card, you cannot use WhatsApp. So for us, it's the same. You need to buy a SIM card. Mm-hmm. It can be any SIM card. You can change the SIM cards every minute. You're still accessible on all those numbers, and you can be reachable by data or by the network fully. But of course, if you have a SIM card that have no internet, or a SIM card that have no minute, or that have no SMS, then our service will not work. That's why we are not in direct competition with telecom operators, because we are not selling SIM cards. We are not stealing that from them. We are just the added value services on top, you know. But I give you an example. If you go, for example, to, I don't know, expensive country for telecom, for example, Ukraine, as soon as you arrive in Ukraine, in 5 minutes, you will have 50 euros going out of the airport with data. So right now, people, when they travel, they have two solutions when they go in those countries. Or they turn off completely the data and they don't make any call, and they wait that they are at the hotel to be able to call. Or they put a local SIM cards, but the moment they put a local SIM cards, they lose their number. People cannot call them. They have to call their friends, say, now I'm in Ukraine, call me on a Ukrainian number. With us, I still have to put a local SIM card. For travelers, we save only 50% of the problem. But as soon as I put a local SIM card or local internet connection, I still have my numbers. Thank you.
Okay, well, not only did we get a founder story, we got a pitch also on your company.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
excellent. Thank you.